Welcome to Immigration Briefing. The content of the briefing includes: Californians will be able to delete all personal data with first in U.S. law. Biden approval near lowest of his term as immigration concerns rise. Reuters Ipsos poll. Rwanda asylum system biased against genuine refugees. U.S. Border Patrol has released thousands of migrants on San Diego streets, taxing charities. Home Office accepted Rwanda's word on asylum plan without scrutiny. Californians will be able to delete all personal data with first in U.S. law. The Guardian. California Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a bill known as the Delete Act, which will allow residents to request that their personal information be deleted from all data brokers in the state. The bill requires all data brokers to register with the California Privacy Protection Agency and establishes an easy and free way for Californians to request that their data be deleted through a single page, regardless of how it was acquired. Data brokers that fail to comply with the rules could be fined or otherwise penalized. The bill has been praised by privacy advocates, but advertising companies have argued that it will undermine their industry. Biden approval near lowest of his term as immigration concerns rise. Reuters Ipsos poll. Reuters. A recent Reuters Ipsos poll showed that U.S. President Joe Biden's approval rating has fallen to near the lowest level of his presidency, with 40% of respondents approving of his performance. The poll also revealed that concerns over immigration have risen to their highest level since before Biden took office in 2019. A larger share of respondents cited the economy as their top concern, but concerns over immigration have grown significantly among Republicans, indicating that the issue could become a key focus in the 2024 presidential contest. Rwanda asylum system biased against genuine refugees. BBC. Lawyers for the United Nations Refugee Agency have criticized Rwanda's asylum system, stating that it is biased against potential genuine refugees. The criticism came during the UK government's appeal against its plan to send some asylum seekers to Rwanda. The Court of Appeal ruled the scheme unlawful in June, but the government argues that it meets the legal test for treating people humanely. Lawyers for the UN Refugee Agency argued that there is no evidence that Rwanda has improved its treatment of asylum seekers, despite giving assurances to the UK government. They highlighted cases of Afghans, Syrians, and Eritreans being expelled without considering the risks they would face. The lawyers argued that the key institutions and practices behind these decisions are still operating, even after the UK deal was struck. On Monday, lawyers for the Home Secretary argued that Rwanda could be trusted to treat asylum seekers humanely, citing extensive monitoring and written commitments to the UK. U.S. Border Patrol has released thousands of migrants on San Diego streets, taxing charities. Associated Press. Over 5 years, the largest U.S. city on the Mexican border developed a well-oiled system to shelter asylum seekers. That system is being tested like never before as U.S. Customs and Border Protection releases migrants to the streets of California's second-largest city because shelters are full. Since September 13, about 13,000 have been dropped at transit stations with notices to appear in immigration court at their final destinations in the U.S., with about 500 more arriving daily. Home Office accepted Rwanda's word on asylum plan without scrutiny. The Independent. The UK Home Office failed to address serious concerns about Rwanda's asylum system and ignored the country's history of abuse of asylum seekers when considering whether it was safe to send migrants there, the Supreme Court has heard. The government is challenging a Court of Appeal ruling that a deal to deport migrants to Rwanda and process their asylum cases there was unlawful. The Home Office has argued that Rwanda's past failure to uphold an agreement with Israel is irrelevant because the UK deal is very different, but asylum seekers lawyer Raza Hussain argued that the abuse didn't occur. Pakistani cricket journalist flees World Cup in India after historic tweets backlash. Telegraph. Pakistani TV broadcaster Zainab Abbas has left her role covering the Cricket World Cup in India amid claims of derogatory historic social media posts. Abbas had been working as part of the International Cricket Council's (ICC) digital and broadcasting team, but she left India on Monday. Advocate Vineet Jindal lodged a police complaint and wrote to India's Board of Control for Cricket about alleged derogatory and provocative tweets mocking India and the Hindu religion that Abbas had posted years ago. The ICC has said that Abbas left for personal reasons. Watch live as UK government appeals for Rwanda deportation plan. The Independent. The UK government is challenging a Court of Appeal ruling that its plan to deport asylum seekers to Rwanda is unlawful. Lawyers representing migrants facing deportation argue that Rwanda is an authoritarian state with a deficient asylum system. They claim that Rwanda imprisons, tortures, and murders its opponents, and that the Home Office has recorded concerns about the country. The government argues that Rwanda's assurances change everything and that evidence of abuse from a previous agreement with Israel is not relevant. Asylum seeker hotel plans ditched by Home Office. BBC. The UK Home Office has abandoned plans to house up to 242 asylum seekers at the Stratey Park Hotel in Llanelli, West Wales. Carmarthenshire Council opposed the scheme. Last week, the fire service declared the hotel unsafe due to a change of use. A prohibition order has been issued, preventing the premises from being used for sleeping accommodation. Protests have been held outside the hotel, with 6 arrests made last weekend. Home Office tells migrants they will move back onto Bibi Stockholm. The Independent. The UK Home Office has begun notifying migrants who were evacuated from the Bibi Stockholm that they will soon be moved back onto the barge. In August, 39 migrants were moved off the barge after Legionnaire's disease bacteria was discovered in its water supply. The barge, which is based at Portland Port in Dorset, has since had satisfactory test results for Legionella, meaning the bacteria is no longer present. However, a one-day permission hearing is being held in the High Court to consider whether a legal challenge against the barge can proceed. A local resident is arguing that the Home Office's decision to place the barge in the port without applying for planning permission is unlawful. Ottawa reviewing virtual citizenship ceremonies as petition calls on government to pull the plug. CBC. Canada is considering whether to continue virtual citizenship ceremonies after a petition with over 1,500 signatures called for their termination. The Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, began holding virtual ceremonies during the COVID-19 pandemic to address challenges posed by social distancing measures and a backlog of citizenship applications. Less than 10% of new Canadians chose in-person ceremonies in the last 6 months of 2022. Supporters argue that in-person ceremonies provide a bonding experience and are a celebratory moment for new citizens, while opponents claim that the time and cost savings are minimal. Dear viewers, I am Dr. Hex, your resident observer from the 6th dimension, here to bring you the latest news from around the world. Today, we have a diverse range of stories, from privacy rights in California to immigration concerns in the United States and Rwanda. But first, let me introduce myself. As a resident of the 6th dimension, I have the unique ability to observe and analyze events from multiple dimensions and timelines. I bring you the news with a touch of humor and a dash of wit, making even the most complex stories entertaining and engaging. So, sit back, relax, and let's dive into today's news. In California, Governor Gavin Newsom has signed the Delete Act, allowing residents to delete their personal data from data brokers. Finally, Californians can have some control over their online privacy. While privacy advocates are celebrating this as a major win, advertising companies are not too pleased. They argue that this law will undermine their industry. Well, maybe they should have thought about that before invading our personal space. Moving on to the United States, President Joe Biden's approval rating has hit a new low, with concerns over immigration on the rise. It seems like the issue of immigration is becoming a hot topic, especially among Republicans. With the 2024 presidential contest on the horizon, it will be interesting to see how politicians handle this sensitive issue. Will they build more walls or bridges? Only time will tell. Over in Rwanda, the asylum system is being criticized for being biased against genuine refugees. Lawyers for the UN Refugee Agency argue that Rwanda has not improved its treatment of asylum seekers, despite giving assurances to the UK government. It seems like they are just paying lip service instead of actually making any real changes. Come on, Rwanda, show us some genuine hospitality. Meanwhile, in San Diego, the U.S. Border Patrol has been releasing thousands of migrants onto the streets, putting a strain on charities. The system that was put in place to shelter asylum seekers is now being tested like never before. With shelters full, migrants are being left to fend for themselves. It's a tough situation, but let's hope that a solution can be found soon. In the UK, the Home Office is facing scrutiny over its plan to deport migrants to Rwanda. The Supreme Court has heard that the Home Office failed to address serious concerns about Rwanda's asylum system and ignored the country's history of abuse. Come on, Home Office, do your homework. You can't just rely on promises and assurances without looking into the facts. And finally, in the world of cricket, Pakistani journalist Zainab Abbas has left the Cricket World Cup in India amid backlash over historic tweets. It seems like social media can come back to haunt you at the most inconvenient times. Lesson learned. Think twice before hitting that send button. That's all for today's news, folks. Now it's your turn to join the discussion. What are your thoughts on these stories? Do you think privacy laws like the Delete Act are necessary? How should politicians address the issue of immigration? And should historic tweets be held against someone? Share your thoughts and questions, and let's keep the conversation going. Until next time, this is Dr. Hex signing off from the sixth dimension. Stay curious, stay informed, and stay fabulous. Thank you for tuning in. The content above showcases the latest briefing reports and analytical synopses, thoughtfully curated by the 6Do team. These insights stem from a wide array of reputable media outlets, think tanks, government sources, and specialized experts worldwide. We encourage you to explore these sources for a comprehensive perspective. Keep in mind that while the content may not always align with the official standpoint of 6Do Brief, it's not meant to be taken as absolute directives for decision-making. Comprising seasoned media professionals, learned scholars, and accomplished scientists, the 6Do team embodies a trailblazing, fully independent media entity. To customize 6Do Brief to meet your professional needs, you have the option to subscribe to a diverse array of briefings on our website, 6dobrief.com. Regardless of your location, you can conveniently receive 6Do Brief via email.